and welcome back to the Nurse Nook. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Alexis Nicole and I make videos all about nursing, lifestyle, and wellness. I cannot wait to get into today's video. I have been wanting to make this content for the longest. I wanted this video to be so casual, so relatable, and very just authentic. Literally in my office, sitting in my big old bean bag right now, because I wanted just like a chill, realistic, very friend conversation environment. So as you can tell by the title of this video, I recently completed 100 days alcohol free, and I wanted to make this video to share my experience. Now, before we get into the video, I just want to say that this is not at all going to be any kind of like preachy content, any like you need to do this, you need to give up alcohol, you need to have 100 days sober. This is not that. This is just going to be a very honest conversation of why I did it, what my results were, and what I have learned from it. So let's get into why I decided to do 100 days sober. So a huge reason why I wanted to make this video is I haven't seen a ton of women in the alcohol-free, sober curious space online. And I just wanted to make it more readily available and more accessible to women, especially women in my age group, American women. I will say though, there's a lot of like women that live in the UK making a lot of alcohol-free content, which is amazing, but I just want to bring it a little bit closer to home. And I don't see a ton of this content in this space here. So I just wanted to put my own out there and share what I have learned through this journey. So let's get into why I started 100 days sober. So annually, I always do a month off alcohol. I have done this for the past couple years. Usually always a random month. It's usually a month after I have been drinking pretty frequently and I'm like, yuck, let me just take a break and reorient myself. And I always feel really, really good during that month. And so I was doing the same thing again this year. And once I started the month, for some reason, I just started getting really, really deep into why I'm drinking. I started reading up about it. I started looking up content, alcohol-free, sober curious content online, and I got so deep into the alcohol-free vortex, and I told myself, you know what? Why am I just doing a month? Let's do 2 months. So I did 2 months, and I'm like, you know what? Let me do 90 days. And I did 90 days and I'm like, you know what? Might as well make it 100. So I made 100 days last week. I'm currently at like 107 days right now. But I initially started with just 30 and then I ended up at 100 and I honestly have never felt better. So the biggest reason why I really wanted to pursue this sober curious journey, and when I say sober curious, to me, it means something different to everybody, but for me personally, sober curious means that I'm not totally done with alcohol. I still may dabble in it, maybe on special occasions, maybe on vacations if I feel inclined to, but I don't totally feel like I will never have another sip of alcohol again for the rest of my life. I just don't think that is something that is for me at the moment. And also I don't like to commit to things. I know that sounds terrible, but I rather just have the ability to say, no, I'm just okay, I don't want to drink, versus like when I tell myself, oh, you're not drinking at all, you're never allowed to have alcohol, it's like, well, what if I want to try a margarita or something? I just do better with not having those constraints of I'm never drinking again. But why I wanted to take a step deeper and really explore my relationship with alcohol was I was starting to not feel great, for lack of a better word, while I was drinking. So when I first started drinking, and this same thing happens with a lot of people, you start drinking in your late teens, early 20s, whatever it is that you start drinking. And when you first have those like few couple drinks, you get this like euphoric buzz, everything is great, you're having so much fun. And that was the case for me while I was drinking. Up until recently, when I drank, whether it was like 1 or 2, 3, 4, however many drinks I was having, I wasn't getting that same euphoric, happy, on top of the world feeling. And so I would drink more thinking that, oh, my tolerance is just so high, so now I need to consume more alcohol to get that same buzz that I had years ago. In reality, the buzz never came. I was just feeling worse and worse and pretty much like just wanting to go to sleep by the end of the night. So that was my first inkling that maybe I should explore my relationship a little bit more with alcohol. The other thing that was happening were my hangovers were kind of crappy. And I don't mean I was like vomiting and just ill. I was mentally unwell the following day to 2 days after drinking heavily. I probably should have started the video off with this, but my drinking habits prior to this 100 days sober were, I would say, light to moderate. I was not drinking daily. I was drinking maybe once or twice a week at max. The once a week was usually like a glass or two of wine, and then 1 to 2 times a month I would drink heavily with friends. Heavily meaning anywhere from like 4 to 6 drinks per night. And so even though I wasn't drinking heavily or drinking daily or drinking multiple days out of the week, I was still drinking enough to notice how it affected my body. So physically, my hangovers weren't terrible. I rarely ever threw up from drinking. That wasn't the problem with me. The problem was I would go into almost a small depressive episode after drinking heavily. The next day, I would just feel down and anxious and just not myself, just kind of like a shell of myself. And that would last from like anywhere from like a day to 2 days after drinking. On top of that, I noticed my gut health was absolutely terrible after drinking. I mean, I'm gonna spare you the details, but it was just not a good situation. And that's not just me. Alcohol is actually terrible for your gut health, period. So one of the most important things to me is my mental health. So obviously when I noticed I was feeling so crappy after drinking, that was the biggest indicator for me. Like, okay, let's reanalyze the situation here. So if you're not aware, when you're drinking alcohol, that euphoric, fun, happy feeling you're feeling is all the dopamine that is being dumped by your brain. Alcohol is associated with dumping a crap ton of dopamine, which makes you feel so good. So what happens is the following day, you are now dopamine deficient. Your brain was not producing all that dopamine because your body was getting all this dopamine from the alcohol that you were consuming. And so now you are dopamine deficient the following day, which is why people tend to feel down, sad, and just not themselves. Also, alcohol is a depressant, and usually you don't feel those depressant symptoms until after the alcohol is starting to wear off, which is usually late at night, early the next day. Another huge thing was anxiety, and so that is basically anxiety caused by alcohol. I noticed that my anxiety the following days after alcohol was terrible, and that was just not gonna fly with me. And that was just something I was not trying to deal with anymore. And so I embarked on this 100-day sober journey, and I'm not even telling you to make this video sound more exciting or anything. This is my honest truth. That is the best decision I have made in a very, very long time. It truly changed my life in multiple ways. And for me personally, it changed my life in ways that I wasn't expecting. So it wasn't just like not drinking alcohol, now I don't have these anxiety episodes or I don't feel crappy the next day. Making the decision to intentionally exclude alcohol from my life led into other areas of my life and made me a lot more disciplined in other areas, including my fitness, my mental health, my gut health, my organization. It literally leaked into every area of my life. And let me tell you, I have been the most consistent with my workouts that I have ever been in my life. I read more books than I have ever read in my life during this time. I started getting back into journaling and using a daily planner and planning out my days. I got back on YouTube and uploading every single week. There are so many areas of my life that improved after making the decision to stop drinking alcohol. And why I think this is because I was disciplined in not making the decision to drink and kind of excluding myself from certain settings, like going out often or going out for drinks or going to parties. Instead, I dedicated that time to myself. And I knew that if I can make the decision to stop drinking and have the discipline to not drink around friends who are drunk and having a good time, if I have the discipline to not do that, then I have the discipline to do anything else I want to do in my life. And so it literally waterfalled into every other area of my life. It has been absolutely amazing for my success overall. So I actually made a perks of not drinking notes folder in my phone, and I wanted to share a few of the perks of not drinking because in short, this is everything that I have experienced during this time, and it's just important to share this information Because again, this is not a preachy video of you need to stop drinking, you need to explore alcohol-free lifestyle. Honestly, I don't care how much alcohol you consume, that is your prerogative. But I think everyone should explore at some point their relationship with alcohol. And if you're watching this video thinking, oh my gosh, I can never do that, I could never even do a month without alcohol, like how do you do it? I can't even imagine. Baby girl, you need to explore a relationship more than anybody, because if you're sitting there telling yourself there's no way I could go without alcohol for that long, red flag. And again, I'm not trying to call you out, I'm just saying I know from experience. Okay, so perks of not drinking. This number one is probably my favorite, honestly, and that is feeling like one whole person and not having any embarrassing moments from the night before. So when I was drinking, I literally felt like I was two different people. Like there was sober me and there was drunk me. And sober me was always so freaking embarrassed of drunk me, the things she would do, the things she would say. I was just like, ew. Like I have absolutely nothing in common with drunk me. I don't like her, I don't know her. She's just not my people. And honestly, it wasn't even that bad. I didn't do anything crazy when I was drinking. It's just, I know the decisions and thoughts I would make and have sober, and I just knew that was so far from me intoxicated. And honestly, we look back at ourselves and like, oh my God, why would I do that? I would never say that sober. You have to realize alcohol is literally a poison. We are acting out of character because we are physically poisoning our minds. So of course you're gonna act different and odd under a poison. So give yourself some grace. Another perk of not drinking was not waking up with anxiety in the middle of the night. Oh my God. After a heavy night of drinking, I would always wake up at like 3 in the morning with like crushing anxiety, like waking up freaking thirsty as all hell, guzzling down a bottle of water and just like sitting there with my heart racing, hoping I didn't do anything embarrassing. It was not a good time. And not to mention, you do not get good rest when you're intoxicated. Your body, when you drink, doesn't go into a good deep REM sleep. So you always wake up feeling not well rested, regardless of how many hours of sleep you got. You always just feel like lethargic, exhausted, and just all over like. Another favorite perk of mine was having intentional conversations with people and building genuine connections. It is so easy to connect with people when you're drinking. All you gotta do is like run in the bathroom and be like, oh my God, girl, I love your outfit. It's like, girl, stop, I love your outfit. And then you build this like drunk temporary friendship off of alcohol. And it's like when you hang out sober, it's like, you know what, we actually don't have anything in common. But it's nice to socialize and go out when you are sober, because you are genuinely building connections with people and not just temporary highs off of drinking. It honestly just gave me an overall healthier outlook on life. Like when I started being good to my body by not consuming alcohol, I started taking a lot better care of my gut health. I started eating more intentionally. I started deleting gluten from my diet, and it all started with leaving out alcohol. Again, it was like the discipline of like, if I can exclude alcohol, which is something that is so normalized and socially accepted, if I can counter that, I can do anything. Another perk, and this is for my people that are into fitness and calories and licking snatch and blah blah blah, by not drinking and going out frequently and having all those drinks, you are saving your body so many calories. Because if you think about it, there's like, depending on what you're drinking, it can be like 200 to 400, 500, 600 calories per drink, especially if you're getting really sweet stuff. Like just think about how many calories is in that, and if you're having like 4 drinks a night, that adds up. Also the bloating, alcohol made me so bloated. And so I've noticed a huge change in my body and overall like inflammation. I feel like my face is a bit slimmer, my belly's a bit slimmer, my gut health is so much better. It's just like the little tiny changes that I've noticed that when I look at the big picture, it's like, that's actually really nice. Not having to wake up with any hangovers obviously is a huge perk. Waking up with just a clear mind and not having to worry about if you did something embarrassing the previous night, or that you're going to be hungover and feel crappy all day, or not being able to commit to your pre-commitments because now you feel crappy and hungover, that is the best feeling, y'all. Like, I never miss a workout because I feel hungover and I'm like so tired and lethargic from the previous night that I just can't. I show up to all my commitments, I'm clear-headed, I'm ready to go, I feel energized, it's great. One of the biggest perks is saving money. I love saving money. But if you think about it, on top of like what I was talking about earlier with like all the calories included with all these drinks, not only is it the calories, but if you're going to like nice places, honestly, even like any places these days, a drink can be like $15 to $20. And when you go out, if you're like a generous person, a lot of times you end up buying a drink for your friend or around for everyone, and next thing you know, your bar tab is $100, and if you do that multiple times a month, it's like you're spending hundreds of dollars just on alcohol, like nothing else. And that's a lot of money. So I've been saving a lot of money on this sober journey. It's been great. Now, in contrast to the pros, the two cons that I have is, one, sometimes you have a great time on alcohol. There's no denying that. It can be really fun. That is why people drink, because it's fun. And my other pro is feeling included with friends. That is probably the biggest problem that I've had during this journey, is feeling excluded or feeling like I'm missing out when hanging out with friends, especially if everyone is like tipsy, drunk, having a good time, and you're like the only sober one. Sometimes it can feel a little bit excluding, but it's never been to the point where I'm like, I can't do this, this is not for me. And if you have a good circle of friends, they're not gonna make you feel bad about not drinking. I've never really had anyone make me feel bad about not drinking, or that I was a weirdo, or I'm not cool or lame for not drinking. Honestly, even if they did try to make me feel like that, my skin is pretty thick, so that would bounce right off. If you're interested in exploring your relationship with alcohol, I would highly recommend doing at least 90 days. So when I first started, like the first 30 days are probably like the hardest. You're so used to being in that pattern of like, oh, you go out, you get a drink. And so that's the first like initiation into it. After 30 days, it's kind of like you forget about it a little bit, but by day 90, I was never even thinking about it. So it's like up until day 90, it's like you're purposely just trying not to drink. It's like, oh no, okay, no, I'm not drinking, I'm not drinking. By the time you get to 3 months alcohol free, it's so ingrained in you that you don't even think about it. Like, I don't think about, oh, I'm here sober, I'm at the pool sober, not drinking. It's just like, oh, I'm at the pool. Oh, I'm out with friends. Oh, I'm at dinner. I don't ever think about feeling the lack or the missing out feeling. Like, I'm just present. So in all, it was a great experience. From here, like I said, I don't think I will never not drink again. If I didn't make that decision, honestly though, it would not surprise me. But I think moving forward from this space, I think I may just save it for possibly vacations if I feel inclined to. Because it's kind of like, you know, a cheesy, greasy like hamburger. Like, you know this is no good for you. You know this is bad for you. But every once in a while, like, go ahead and have a single cheeseburger. And that's kind of how I feel at this moment. Like, it's definitely something I don't want in my daily life. I don't want to be having a glass of wine at my house. That's just something that at this moment that I'm excluding from my life. But if I'm in Italy on a boat, like, maybe I'm gonna want a glass of wine. And that is perfectly okay. The important thing is exploring your relationship and learning if it's something that's detrimental to your mental health, your physical health. Could you have a better relationship? Could you change some things about your lifestyle? And that's really all that it is, making sure that you're making the best decisions for yourself. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I honestly could have made this like 2 hours long. If you guys enjoy this sober, curious, slightly sober content, let me know. I have so much more content that I can do for you guys. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.